This is the story of a scarecrow of a lad born in the shadows of the shipyards of Govan. A fiery young Scot who launched into a career in football and became a success. A very big success.
The character's forged by the environment. If you think about in the winter here, the wind and the cold coming up that Clyde, the mouth of the Irish Sea, into the shipyard area and working on top there, you can just imagine the character it forged. But certainly a hard life, a hard working life. I went into white engineering. I had brains. When my father was a sheet iron worker, then went to the time office in the later years. When my brother was a welder, he was an apprentice welder and then became a welder here. So my father was 40 odd years here.
I think most people recognise the enormous potential of Aberdeen. Its real strength was the family unit, the team spirit in the place, having grown up together, being the one city, close to each other, gave it an enormous team spirit, you know.
I've always done it with all the clubs I'm with. St Mirren had a good youth policy, Aberdeen did an excellent youth policy, and now United have an absolutely marvellous youth policy, and the development of our young players at the club is outstanding. There's not a thing they don't get or we don't do for them. And it's a commitment. I decided the early management, that was where you could get enormous satisfaction. That's where you could build family spirit, team spirit. And I've enjoyed it.
Shot! Oh, beautiful goal from David Beckham! He curled it in from the angle. And Alex Ferguson is delighted that one of his youngsters has restored Manchester United's lead.
Behind you was the cry. Patterson didn't hear. Ryan Giggs nips in. Now Beckham. Beckham looking and finding Giggs. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful! That was a class goal. Beckham, Giggs and Scholes. The kids are united.
I've enjoyed seeing all the young players come through over the years. I've enjoyed seeing Ryan Giggs in his first Welsh cap. I think that's marvellous, that.
Giggs. Still Giggs. Beautiful. Brilliantly done.
Everyone gets the feeling that the European Champions League, as it's now called, is the one huge prize you desperately want.
It would complete my task as a manager, so to speak. It'd give me enormous satisfaction. I feel then that everything I've worked for in terms of all the coming down to Manchester United would all be worthwhile then.
In your 21 years as a soccer manager, which has been the most exciting team you've created?
Well, I don't think there's any question that the United double winning team is, without, in my mind, the best team I've ever managed, or ever been involved with, for that matter.
Chelska's coming in. Elkins' header only goes to Campton. Glorious goal!
That's a beautiful ball. Martin, first time, good cross. Oh, on the volley by Lee Sharp, and a goal out of the blue.
Parker making it hot for Holloway, Ince making it hot for Wilkins, and here's Giggs. What balance, what a run! Oh, what a player! The boy's a genius!
Will you create another team that will be as exciting?
Oh, I hope so. Oh, I certainly hope so. I think the great thing about Manchester United is capable of always producing great players. What I have to do now as a young team and working away at that is to create that chemistry again, that great team spirit, that great will to win. And I think I have a nucleus of players at the moment who could eventually develop into as good a side as the double winning team.
Scholes. Cook, full of back heels. There he goes again. Cook's inside the Manchester United defence. He's looking for Giggs. Oh, he scored! Ryan Giggs, the scorer.
Well, I come from Govan, and that's the shipyard area of Glasgow. It's probably the most famous district in Glasgow, simply because of the shipyard. That is my old house. That's where the man was born. There should be a plaque up there, you know. This beast was born here. So thanks.
On TV.
This building here, right here, there is where I was brought up. 667 Govan Road, and it's the fire station.
Where do you know him from?
He lived next close to us.
My neighbour.
Mick Law.
Tom, how you play football?
Hey, and I played most of my football. There was a piece of ground there called the Works. You know, the Works was behind here. Aye, all right. And right there, just telling them. We used to queue up every Sunday for a game. And if you were late or you weren't there, you didn't get a game. And you'd have to queue up, waiting for somebody to go for their dinner. And the mother would shout them, and you get back to getting the game. It was incredible. And there's my primary school there. I wonder if it's still there. When I was getting chased, I was in fights. There was a gap in that wall that if you got through, nobody could catch you, because you go different ways through the tenements. I wonder if it's still there. But if I was ever in chase with gangs, or if I come up this way, or come out here, I would run across, going through the wall. There was also shelters above those walls many years ago. So if they couldn't get up over the wall, so if anyone had gone through, you could have kick at them, stop them from coming through, and get off your mark. I always remember it was in there. And there's Ibrox. Now, you just go and I'll just show you how I used to skip into Ibrox. I used to nick over just about this side of it, run along the back of Ibrox and climb over the wall. I got caught once, yeah. And what happened was, I got half caught, and then started to chase me, and I fell down a hole. Somewhere about, probably still in a hole, into a bloody big pool of water. And I get caught, and he says, right, the usual, and what's your address? I'm telling your mother. But that was all. For some reason, I get voted as a vice shop steward, you know, assistant shop steward. I took it on, which then come smack bang into the middle of the apprentices' strike in 1960-61. There was 10 apprentices, there was only 9 of us there, and the vote went 4-4 as whether to come out. So I went, right, cast and vote were out. Well, did I know it needs a 2/3 majority if they go on strike. But I pushed it through that way, you see, cast and vote. So I went up to the superintendent, Jimmy Cameron. I says, Mr. Cameron, can I see you? And he put his glasses, he says, you can't go on strike, you're indentured apprentices. I always remember saying that. I says, I'm not indentured, we're no indentured apprentices. You're committed to your, you know, when they start the way, you can't. I said, I'm sorry, but we'll have to. The whole of bloody Scotland's waiting on us.
Who guided you?
Oh, my father, no doubt about that. Oh, he was a strict disciplinarian. He was a disciplined man. For instance, when I served my apprenticeship, I wasn't late once in 5 years of apprenticeship. Never once was I late. And I've this thing in me, I can never be late for anything. I must be the first there. And people used to say I was like my father. But I think people who really know the family think I was more like my mother. And she had a fantastic determination, incredible determination. And I always remember the day she died, she's just had a good greet and remember me. It was incredible, she was never afraid of dying at all. Not in a bit, well I'm terrified of, I don't know what you're like, but I'm absolutely terrified of that thing, you know.
I'm Martin Ferguson, and this is my older brother Alex here. I was just having a chat about old times when we lived together down in Govan.
Did he look after you then as the older brother?
As an older brother, he used to batter me.
For doing what?
No, we used to fight when we were younger. I suppose like every brothers do. We fought like cat and dog over clothes and different things like that. And then when I took the ball off him, he didn't like it when we used to play football.
Martin was a really skillful player, a really good passer of the ball. But me being a year older was always a year ahead of, so I did everything first before he would do it. But he probably achieved the same things. We both played for the school team, both played for Glasgow schools, both went to Drumchapel Amateurs, that type of thing. And we both went senior. In fact, the early part of Martin's senior career was far more fruitful than mine. He played for Partick Thistle's first team when he was 18. I went to St Johnson, didn't fulfil what I thought I should have done. And it wasn't until I went full-time at 22 my career started to take off as a player.
If you could take one of his qualities and inject it into yourself, what would it be?
I would think that his nature, far more placid nature and far easier to go on with, and would have always got an edge to me.
And I would presume the determination is what you'd want.
Absolutely. I would imagine, I always wished I had Alex's determination. I'm quite sure I would have done better in football.
Everybody in Scotland will tell you that he should have wore his football boots on his elbows rather than his feet, because he played with his elbows out like this all the time. And he made Justin Fashanu look like Miss Piggy.
Did he have a record of being sent off or booked?
Well, I don't know how it happened, but I managed to be sent off 7 times, believe it or not. Injustices all over the world, you know. There's not many Govan boys actually played for Rangers, only a few. It was really special to think about it, that you brought up just behind the stand, and you eventually play for them. I didn't want to leave, but eventually, after training mowing for about 6 months, I eventually realised I had to go. There's nothing else for it.
Is it true you were the best uncapped striker in Scotland?
I beg your pardon, I got a cap. Got 2 or 3.
You did find time to get married, 24 years of age.
Yeah, I was 24 years of age, and Cathy followed me all over Glasgow, finally gave in. What could I do?
What's her version?
Well, you better ask her.
Well, I worked beside him. The firm went on strike, and Alex still had his football. So he had the money, so I went out with Alec. That's my version.
Gold digging?
Well, that's partly the reason.
When did you first meet him?
I met him in the dancing, and I worked beside him, but I met him in the Locarno in Glasgow.
Was he a good dancer?
Lousy. No footballers can dance that I know.
What was the first impression you had of him?
The very first impression I saw him, he had 2 black eyes and a broken nose, and I thought he was a thug, but he had broke his nose in the football, but which I didn't know, because I didn't know he was a footballer.
Love at first sight?
No, no.
The great thing about Kath is that she's a family woman, she's a family person, so she's never get carried away, and that is sort of a reinforcing of my own attitudes and things. But it's a down-to-earth thing, you know, that amidst all the glory and the great game you play in, and you come home that Saturday night and you maybe lost and you look for that little bit of sympathy, you get absolutely none. Those bloody rains, you've no idea the day I've had today. And all of a sudden, you say to yourself, there is something else apart from football.
Do you watch football?
No.
Never go?
I go a few times a year if I've got maybe a friend down in the women wants the women want to go, I go with them, but I don't like going.
Why?
I get too nervous. I don't even watch it when it's on telly. I don't. I put the CFAX on for the results, for the half-time scores when it's on live.
If I ask you to describe Alex to us.
On a good day or a bad day.
Do it on a good day.
He shouts a lot, but he's perhaps worse than his bite. Yes, and he's good with the boys. I must admit, he's good with the 3 boys and their wives and girlfriends, and he's great with the grandson. And with my mother as well. I must admit, he's good. He's a good family man.
Probably that in my makeup anyway. She always wanted to make a decision. Always wanted to lead the pack, if you know what I mean. Even as a kid playing in the playground, I probably had a determined outlook and about, right, you're playing in that team, all right, deciding things.
Certain ways he's like Shankly. He's a good speaker, you know, and he comes across very well. He can fall out with a player 1 minute and be the best of chums next minute.
I think once you've been with him for so many years, the older players aren't particularly, but he frightens the young lads to death.
He cares about people, you know, not only football players, but like old age pensioners, the staff that work, clean the place, and the office staff.
When I went to Rangers, the manager there, Scott Simon, he was to my mind, I looked at that man, I said, well, there's a real man. And I took one thing out of him in particular: I never criticised my players publicly. I wish I'd have met Sir Matt when I was younger, you know, because I hear stories of Kiddo, you know, Kiddo tells me about some of the stories of Sir Matt, and, you know, some of the things he would say before games, and when you're having a bad time, and brilliant. He says, you know that lovely, charming man is iron, steel.
It's really amazing. I look around at all this to think it all started back at East Stirling.
4.5 hard and difficult months at East Stirling, then progress to Love Street, home of St Mirren.
There was a lot of players here say, why are they here? In that first season, I think I freed 18 players. I think it was 18 players I did, out of about 32. You know, I remember one year, it was at St Mirren, I think it was my last year at St Mirren, I decided to change it and do it a different way because I couldn't handle this taking one at a time, you know. And I called 8 in at the one time. Oh, what a mistake that was. Disaster. You know, you think that, well, instead of I was sitting waiting one by one at the executioner's call, I would call them all in together and do it. And they're all young lads, maybe one or two older ones who knew that maybe they'd needed a change anyway. But that was hopeless.
What was your biggest achievement at St Mirren?
They won the first division. We were a real young team. Only lost 2 games in the season. Their gates went from 1,200 up to 15,000.
The runaway championship success at St Mirren began to attract the attention of bigger clubs. In June 1978, Alex moved to Pittodrie, home of Aberdeen, and began a remarkable reign of unparalleled success. In only his second full season at Aberdeen, the Glasgow stranglehold in the Premier League was broken, clinching the title in style, a 5-1 victory at Hibernian.
They relished it. They felt winners. You know, for a lot of those players who'd never been used to a winning, and never could maybe dream of ever beating Rangers and Celtic to win something, if you know what I mean, a league in particular. Because I think it was 16 years since anyone outside the Old Firm had won the league in Scotland. And I think it was Kilmarnock with the last team before that. So it gives you a fair indication of how difficult it was to win a title off the Old Firm. For those Aberdeen players, they absolutely relished it. You know, they couldn't get enough of it after that.
There is Weymouth. Here is the jubilation. There's a kiss and there's a cup.
The pattern was established. 1984 and 1985 saw Aberdeen win successive championships.
I said to the chairman, I says, I'm quitting at the end of the season. He says, what do you mean you're quitting? I says, I think I now definitely need a new challenge. He says, have you got a job? And I says, no, but I think I'll get one. He says, I'm sure you will, but is it not a bit silly leaving without having a job? He says, as far as I'm concerned, the only job you should leave for is Manchester United. That's what he said to me. He says, the only club, to my mind, would satisfy you in terms of a challenge. I says, well, so we had a sort of agreement if they ever came, they would not stand my road. And that's with all honesty, without any knowledge, any time ever, that Manchester United would ever be interested in me. But he looked at the scenario that for me, that the perfect setup for me would be Manchester United.
Alex Ferguson was the man. We all obviously have our own reasons for that, but my reasons were that he'd taken Aberdeen from a reasonably small, unsuccessful Scottish club to really challenge the might of Rangers and Celtic, and he was at least on equal terms with them, possibly had even overtaken them.
Is that your first autograph, you know?
Somebody's beat you to it.
So the man who'd won everything in Scotland had come south of the border to do the same in England. And when Manchester United call, you don't say no.
My impression was, well, this is the biggest club in the game. You don't miss the opportunity, first of all. And I kept saying, you know, there must be a simple reason why they haven't won the league. You know, no vanity, but you say, well, how could this enormous giant not have won the league? Because that's all I could think about.
But it was certainly going to be a heck of a job. Alex Ferguson was in charge of a side ravaged by injury, lacking self-belief, lacking direction. Oxford United were the team who beat Manchester United in his first game as manager. These were humble beginnings, but as in any job, there has to be a settling-in period, time to assess the situation, time to take stock. But time was in short supply, and at the end of his first week, United were just one place off the bottom. Ferguson knew he had to act, and act quickly. Happily, his first win came only a week later, at home to Queen's Park Rangers.
In the league, obviously, it was a matter of consolidating and make sure we weren't at the bottom pile coming the end of the season, which we weren't. We did go up to the halfway stage, and considering the second bottom that came, I was quite satisfied with that. I'd love to have been better, but I was satisfied. But I knew at the end of the season I'd taken on a big job, because the age of the team was bad, you know. There's too many at the wrong age to accept a few challenges. And I think that at the end of that first season, and I said to the chairman, I think you need 8, 9 players, really. And he says, bloody hell. He says, I thought maybe I could buy with maybe 3 players. And I went along with that, really. But first of all, we tried to get Peter Beardsley. And they wanted 3 million at the time. I always remember the manager saying, no, it's 3 million. And about 3 weeks later, they sold him to Liverpool for 1.9. You know, I was angry at that. I really was angry at that. When Graham Taylor phoned me about John Barnes, but I'd committed myself to a long contract, to another contract with Jesper Olsen. And I suppose you could say we made a mistake there, all right. I think we maybe did make a mistake.
You would have liked Barnes?
Oh, yes, yeah. We made a mistake there.
But there was certainly no mistake with his first 2 signings, Arsenal's Viv Anderson and Celtic's Brian McClare. The following season, things looked to be falling into place. The Ferguson signings were responding magnificently. Brian McClare top scoring with 24 goals. United were competing again at the right end of the table, and there were plenty of wonderful moments.
Down forward, Strachan making a lovely run through the middle. He's onside. Gordon Strachan with a chance to equalise, and does. What a turner. The 10 men have come back from 3-1 down to 3-3.
Gibson again, and it's there by McClare.
And in my first full season, we were second in the league, but I knew we had no chance in the league with the team I had. I said to myself, well, I've got to build my own team. I've got to bring in players that are going to be hungry and accept a few challenges. And that was what we did.
Youth was also given its chance. Fresh faces for the fresh challenge. The press coined the catchphrase, Fergie's fledglings, and there was a distinct buzz at Old Trafford and newfound confidence. Unfortunately, it couldn't be sustained. The demand of a long, hard season took its toll, performances tailed off, and so too did the crowds.
The remainder of the season, really, Paul, was about getting it over with and starting anew in the next season.
The most controversial or the most sensitive of your team building was to release Norman Whiteside and Paul McGrath.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was controversial, and it was, to a lot, I suppose, astonishing, really, because you're talking about 2 tremendously talented players. And I've gone on record in the past about Norman Whiteside's ability. I mean, I think of all the players I've had at this club, I'm talking about some tremendous players, that he was a fraction away from being world class. And
he's probably the first to agree that I did the right thing, let him go. I felt that he should go for another challenge somewhere. In the case of Paul, I couldn't accept the way that Paul lived his life, you know, and that was it really. But at the end of the day, you stand and fall by your decisions. I think management's about decisions. I think it's about being positive about decisions. People recognise positive behaviour in managers. I think they look for it. And I think the players then sat up and says, well, he does mean business. The ideology of it was absolutely right. Build a new team, fresh young players, accept the challenges, players with potential, and what you don't know is if they're the bottle to play United, of course, but in hindsight, now that we're in control of how the club is going to run, we would not be doing nothing like that again.
You nearly had Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, Paul promised to sign. I always remember saying that to me. He says, Mr. Ferguson, you go enjoy your holiday. I'm not signing for Tottenham. I'm going to go to Man United. And I was I went to Malta on holiday and went to the pool and had a nice, beautiful time. Tannoy goes, Mr. Ferguson is the chairman, to tell me to sign for Tottenham. So you win some, you lose some.
Certainly the press was sensing blood, and United's third-round FA Cup tie with Nottingham Forest suddenly became central to the argument.
We knew how hard Alex Ferguson was working, not just with the first team, but at the lower level, at the youth level, the A team, the B team. He is a bit of a workaholic. We knew the tremendous effort and hours that he was putting in, and we felt that with that sort of effort, that sort of determination, that eventually he would be able to turn it round.
But you had to keep your nerve.
We did have to keep our nerve. We were under tremendous pressure from the press. But Alex on record is saying that before the Nottingham Forest game, it's quite true, I did invite him into my office and I said to him, look, whatever happens on Saturday, Alex, your career does not rest on that with Manchester United. I can assure you, whatever the result on Saturday, we'll be retaining you.
The back pages were made, really, because everyone expected us to lose. And if you remember Jimmy Hill's comment before the game, he says, look, that even their warm-ups like a beaten team. Always remember that. So, I think what did it that day was defiance from the...
Now McClare, he's into the centre much more than in the second half. You know, he's moved in from the right-hand side, Brian McClare, and he's having some good play and some good touches. This is Wallace. Webb. Lee Martin from left back, an inspired run on the far side. A chance here, and a goal! What a tremendous run! And Manchester United have taken the lead. Manchester United have won the FA Cup and equalled the record of 7 outright wins.
It was a lovely, balmy night, you know, it was a beautiful night. And the next thing I remember, Jason, my son Jason, running across the pitch, and 2 stewards chasing him, jumping on top of me, you know. That was a great moment too. Because although it's relief for you in a way, it must be a great, really great relief for your family.
Just look at that man's face. The years seem to have fallen away there from Alex Ferguson after a season of torment and tribulation. Manchester United equal the record of Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur. They win the FA Cup for the 7th time.
As Carlos Busquets again makes everything is okay ahead of him. Blackmore's behind this one, surely not from this range. No, it's going to be Brian Robson floating in there towards Steve Bruce, and it's in there. United are in the lead. Hughes onside. There's a chance for another one here. Maybe not now. Yes, there is a fantastic goal by Hughes. The Cup Winners' Cup of 1991 belongs to Manchester United.
To win a European trophy, no matter where you do it, it's a fantastic achievement, a wonderful feeling. When you see the atmosphere of Rotterdam, you know, the support you've taken there, you know how many people you're making happy people that night.
And a
Thurston knocking it into McClare. The little touch for Giggs. He's away again. Little ball in play there for McClare again. A goal for Manchester United. Brian McClare, made by Ryan Giggs. There we are, the first time.
But it was the championship itself that remained the ultimate goal, and United was suddenly in touching distance for the first time in 25 years. In 1992, they looked to have it within their grasp, only to falter against Nottingham Forest at Easter time. Having gone behind, they clawed their way back into the game, but ultimately it proved to be Alex Ferguson's most disappointing moment at the club.
Oh, that was a sore one, because I fell down when we lost the league. It was 1-1 with about 15, 20 minutes to go. And the boy Crossley had a magnificent save from a Brian McClare half volley. Absolutely magnificent save. And then right up the pitch and scored. Real killer below. And I was really gutted about it.
I said to everybody, I said, you know, it's the first time I have to say this, we definitely need a holiday. We definitely need a holiday. And I went away for a month.
You just sense the year that we got beat by Leeds to win the championship, and we just slipped up at the last minute. I think that changed his outlook on it, because the next season he seemed so much more calmer, and his approach was just slightly different to what it had been the year before. And I think that came through onto the players as well, and I think that's why they went on to win the league quite comfortably.
The summer priority had been a striker, but Sheffield Wednesday's David Hurst said no, and so too did Alan Shearer, who headed off to Blackburn Rovers.
I must say that I was disappointed in my conversation with him, I must say that. He surprised me, the lad. He seemed to be, money seemed to be the most important thing to him. That was... So anyway, it doesn't matter that. He'd made his decision to go to Southampton, to go to Blackburn, and there wasn't really anything I could do at that point, to be honest with you.
But to the country's true amazement, Alex Ferguson pulled off the transfer coup of all transfer coups. Eric Cantona from Leeds.
During the conversation we got out to talking, we threw in Cantona, and they says, well, we need to think about that one and things like that.
How long's he been in your mind, though? Not just during that phone conversation, presumably.
Well, yeah, just more or less that.
Really, like that?
Yeah.
And what, did you decide there and then?
Yeah.
He is tailor-made for Manchester United. He stretches the imagination of our supporters, which is quite vivid anyway. They can reminisce with great players along with Cantona, the Laws, the Bess, and the Edwards, and players of that ilk, and I think that our support probably needed that, you know, that type of player.
Dennis Irwin, Lee Sharp, got away from Sinclair. It's a great cross. Phelan arriving. Cantona maybe. Yes.
Cantona. It's in. It's Eric Cantona. Flicked on by him, in fact. It's Hughes now. Sharp just behind him. Irwin. Bruce is still forward. Cantona. Oh, look at that pass. And he got Irwin in again. Oh, that's brilliant. Dennis Irwin has scored, but the return ball from Cantona was one of the passes of the season. This man is playing a game of his own. Irwin's finish, brilliant. Hammered it past Torsby.
Mark Hughes. Oh, he's so strong, he just held him off. Cantona. Twisted and turned, still Cantona. And again. The first shot was saved, the second wasn't.
Hughes, lovely turn round Bonk, who committed himself, and now Lee Sharp. Cantona making the early run. Here he is. Lovely goal, lovely goal.
I think bring the championship back to Old Trafford. I think that was a major feat.
But it's Giggs who takes it to that side! And Mims, wherever it came from, didn't have it covered.
The trophy that brought back that great tradition at the club, plus, most importantly, is the way we did it, the excitement that we produced.
Maybe just now Manchester United are enjoying the difference. Instead of playing for the championship, they're playing as champions. There you are. The credentials are there again.
Since the Mark Busby days, without question, this has brought back all that excitement to the ground again. It's terrific to see that great enthusiasm and love of the team coming back.
The crown is there to be received. Yes, he has them! Oh! The crowning glory!
So I'm particularly proud of that, and I hope, I would think the supporters will recognise that as a thing they'll always remember me by.
The ultimate accolade for all players, and to extend the theme heard so often here, this is the brightest side of life in football.
I'm fortunate in many ways that to have gotten on quite well in these last few years, but also unfortunate that he was getting older, and so in these last 2 or 3 years anyway, that you missed that great knowledge you had, because as you got older you didn't want to burden him with any of my problems, you know, and we were quite happy to see him just relax and enjoy himself when he came to Old Trafford during the day and he'd be smoking his pipe, and we'll miss that, because even when you come up the stairs some days and you knew he was in the building because you could smell the pipe, you know. It was good.
And when I was having a hard time in '89, I did go to him, you know, and sat down. He was puffing away his pipe, and he said, "How's things, son?" I says, "Well," I says, "hard." I says, "Presser, give me a, you know." He said, "Why do you read him?" You know, that's the most, the simplest advice anyone could possibly get, and I can't even think of it myself. And that is as good advice I'll ever get in my life.
But even the legendary Sir Matt Busby never achieved the League and Cup double. 1993-94, Steve Bruce and Brian Robson parading the Premiership trophy at Old Trafford, and Steve Bruce lifting the FA Cup at Wembley.
There was a vital hunger about it. Players like Keane and Ince and Hughes and Bruce, Brian Robson provided that great hunger, that great spark that all great teams have. And then you had the flair, you had Eric Cantona, Ryan Giggs, the speed of Kanchelskis, the magnificent goalkeeping, Michael, maybe a bit eccentric, but it was a personality he had, you see. The personality in the team was good. The dressing room was good. And I feel that all these ingredients made it a marvellous team.
But it was also the end of an era, with Brian Robson moving on to Middlesbrough and management. No one has given more to the United cause in terms of passion, commitment and leadership. The championship race had developed into a straight fight between United and Blackburn Rovers. Typically, it was Eric Cantona who scored the winning goal to bring the sides closer together at the top. For once, it was United chasing the leaders, and over at Ewood Park, the nerves were suddenly beginning to show.
Blackburn started to make mistakes, and I started to enjoy it. I started to find it quite funny, actually. I did, really. I was quite enjoying that they would be getting nervous and I was going on about Devon Lock and all that type of thing. And I was just stirring it up, stoking it up. I just found it quite hilarious. And when we got to the last game, I thought it was so funny the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I turned to the kid and I says, "Just run out there and put that bloody ball in the net. Stand at the post and don't see you." It just got to the point, it's just somebody needed to get a foot in the ball and bang it in the bloody net with one of you know.
Goal again! Oh my goodness me! West Ham United somehow survive.
And again it fell to Andy Cole, the great predator, and it wouldn't go in.
The bitter disappointment of missing out on the double prompted Alex Ferguson to start rebuilding yet again. Players that had been such an integral part of the recent success were allowed to leave. But then time always moves on. It's the memories that are left behind. Great memories.
Well, it's Hughes. Mark Hughes. Well, wouldn't you have just had a bet on it?
And I made decisions in summer, which was all about tomorrow. It was about building another team. So I recognised the time to change, and I felt it was time.
And Butt goes in! Cantona has made a goal from Nicky Butt!
Neville takes the throw. Keane. Butt. Sharp. Nicky Butt. It just won't break for them. It might now. Here's Cole. Can he turn? Sharp. Oh, beautiful goal from David Beckham. He curled it in from the angle. And Alex Ferguson is delighted that one of his youngsters has restored Manchester United's lead.
A really important part of the club, the consistency factor. The last 4 championships, we've won 2 and been second twice. No one in the country has been anywhere near that consistency. And I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that I'm going to work hard at that on the tactical side to make sure we're going to make a bigger impact in Europe over the next few years. I'd love to at least have a go at the championship. I've always just got to that bit where, you know, you stand and walk up the aisle and never really get to the altar, you know. So I'm looking for that final spurt to take me towards the final.
Would you retire after winning the European Championship?
No, I don't. Depends on what it is, of course. I may have to wait. I'm 70. Nah, it's difficult to say. I hate that word retirement. I get pigeonholed with that a couple of years ago and I don't like it at all.
When you do retire, what would you like them to say about Alex Ferguson?
I'd be happy that they recognised the work I put into the club, which would not be built in sand. I think the foundations are there now that will last for many, many years. And I would hope my contribution will be recognised and that it will always be remembered, and that will be part of the club structure, that to make sure the thing's built on solid foundations.
You're proud of this place, aren't you?
Oh, it's marvellous. I mean, people say about the manager motivating the players, but who motivates the manager? Well, that motivates you. Round about here, I could sit here and be motivated. I go to the cliff in the mornings, you know. I can look out the training ground and be motivated. And you've got to find that motivation. A manager just can't be expected to be a magician. He has to have something that motivates him. And I get it through this place. I do.